Hello, good night, and welcome to Afterthought. My name is Roxanne Francis. I am the owner and operator of Francis Psychotherapy. And every Wednesday night at 8, we come here for Afterthought where we talk all things mental health and how it applies to your everyday life. And tonight we are talking about hustle culture, hustle and flow, grind and hustle, slay all day. We are hustling every single day. We're getting it, getting it, getting it, getting it. And there is nothing wrong with a little ambition. I am very guilty of being ambitious myself, and I do not apologize for it. But what is all this hustling doing for us? I feel like I'm a little bit of a record that's kind of looping around and around. I keep talking about self-care and taking care of your mind and taking care of yourself. But you know what? If we do not take care of our minds, what else do we have? So we are going to get into tonight talking about hustle. So let's talk about the history of hustle, right? Why are we hustling? Why do we feel like we need to hustle? What's going on with that? Well, I can speak specifically for Black culture or Black families because that's my history. That's what I know about. That's my personal experience. And for a lot of Black individuals, we have had to deal with systemic oppression for generations upon generations. And what has happened is that because we have been excluded and marginalized from mainstream economics, from gaining fruitful income, we have had to be doing different things to make ends meet. So, do this job in the morning and do this job in the afternoon. Picking up for parents, picking up children here or dropping off children there and going to the next thing. Or going to school in the morning and going to work at night, or working in the daytime and going to school in the afternoon, just so you can get the credentials to earn a different kind of dollar, to take care of your family, to take care of yourself, to access things in the community. And so Black people have had to hustle for a very, very long time. The question is, why do we still have to hustle? It's 2020. Shouldn't we be accessing all the things that we need to be accessing? Shouldn't it be fair and square by now? Well, the truth of the matter is, it isn't. It isn't fair and square. And, with this racial reckoning that we've been having to face up to more recently, we're recognizing that Black people are still being marginalized. Anti-Black racism is a real thing. And, whether it's resumes getting tossed in the shredder because someone can't pronounce their name, or people being excluded from the competition process because their experience is in a different country. A lot of marginalized populations are being left out of the economic game. And because of that, we're having to work around the clock. Work around the clock, work around the clock, work around the clock. Work in the day, work at night, work when people are sleeping. There is a limerick or a verse that I learned when I was a child, when I was growing up in the Caribbean, and I'll have to look up the author for it. But it goes like this: heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night. And I used to love that prose. It used to encourage me. It used to remind me to study hard at night when, my classmates are probably sleeping. But what I've come to realize is that while it had great intentions, it was also a big proponent or a big push towards hustle culture. And that is, for better or for worse, hustle culture is impacting us in a really big way. What's happening now is that people are burning the candle at both ends, right? There isn't an off switch. And, I thought of hustle culture now because during this pandemic, all of the lines between work and home are being blurred. People are no longer um, cutting off work at 5 o'clock, right? I was saying to a client the other day that you used to be able to drive home from work or get on the train home from work or get on the bus or the subway home from work and create distance between your office and your home life, right? Between work and your home life, between school and your home life. You used to be able to create distance. Hey, Sophia. But now we can't create distance because we're commuting from the bedroom to the living room office, or we're commuting from the bedroom to the kitchen table office. And so there's no distance, right? So we're no longer cutting off between work and home. Yes, it blurry bad. it's really, really blurry. We've blurred all the lines, right? And so there is no turning off work. What's happening is that people are, I know many households where parents are working till dinner time, then they have dinner, maybe they may have kids that they have to put to bed. But after that is done, after dinner and after the kids are put to bed, if you have kids in your household, then people are working again. And they keep working and they keep working and they keep working. And they work till, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. And then they wake up in the morning and they're working again. And there is no break. There's no coffee break. There is no, maybe if you're at work, you would walk to the coffee shop or go for a walk around the block or go get something from the water cooler or whatever, right? Stand in the coffee room and talk to your colleague. There is none of that when you're working from home, and people are less likely to take breaks, particularly because there is this assumption that the boss, if you have a boss, is knowing that you're working from home. So there's no need for you to go take a coffee break. There's no need for you to hang out by the water cooler or go in the copy room and say hey to your colleagues. So they're expecting the work, right? And so you might go into the kitchen for a glass of water and you come right back to the desk and you do the work, and we're working and we're working. Hey, Jessica, we're talking about hustle culture tonight, right? We are working around the clock. And, what that's doing to us is that it's, hey, Tamara, what that's doing to us is that our brains can't come down. We cannot get a rest. And we are driving ourselves into the ground. This is no longer our parents' situation. This is no longer our grandparents' situation where, we don't have an opportunity to apply for the job because of where we live. Or, many of our parents and grandparents were immigrants to this country. And so when they first came, they had to work a number of jobs to make ends meet because one job wasn't cutting it, right? You weren't getting enough money. Minimum wage was really small. People were paying you less than minimum wage, paying you under the table, and parents had mouths to feed. And so they would be doing multiple jobs to keep food on the table and to keep their children in school. And while, to be honest, that's still the truth for many people. But for some of us who have come down the line from different generations, we've had the benefit of our parents and our grandparents' hard work. And so we have better opportunities. We may have finished high school. We may have gone to post-secondary education. We may have we've gotten that piece of paper. And with that piece of paper, we're now able to get a certain kind of job. But guess what? We're still here hustling. How many of us on here finished high school, may have finished university or college, is working a full-time job, and is doing something on the side, right? Many of us are doing it. The question, and listen, I have nothing against ambition. I say be as ambitious as you can dream to be. But you need to ask yourself, when do I need to pull back? That's the question. Do I need to be doing this 24/7? Do I need to be working till 2 o'clock in the morning? And is that healthy? Is that what you want? Is that the work ethic that you want? Not necessarily work ethic, but is that what you want your little cousins to aspire to? Is that what you want your little children to aspire to? Is that what you want your nieces and nephews and godchildren to aspire to? Auntie Tamara is always up till 3 o'clock in the morning and she's always working. what's going to happen is that the generations that come after us will begin to believe that work is the thing to be worshipped. That work is a thing that we must always be doing, and they won't know how to rest because you didn't know how to rest. Um, we don't know how to spend time with our friends. We don't know how to take time off. We don't know how to take care of ourselves, to take care of our minds. Hey, Trudy. And because we don't know how to take care of ourselves, our bodies are going to fall apart. Because we're hustling 24/7, we're not even eating properly. We're not even taking the time to savor our food. When was the last time you had a meal and you really just took your time and savored it? You can't savor nothing because we're shoveling it in because we have to get to the next thing. We have to go to the next client, or we have to go to the next job, or we have to go to the next appointment. Yes, in Jamaica we say we chop and swallow, right? We just throw it out down in there. When you're not, Trudy can tell us, when we're not chewing properly, it gives us indigestion. Our stomach gets upset. We end up with things like, I'm not a doctor, but we end up with things like IBS. We end up with all other things like anxiety. When you're constantly on the run, when you're constantly thinking, I have to do that because the next person is expecting A, B, C, or D of me, I constantly have to perform. It causes bloat. Thanks, Trudy. We are constantly thinking that we have to, hey, Vanessa, we're constantly thinking that we have to perform for everybody else. And what will happen if we let these people down? All of these things take a toll on our mental wellness, guys. The idea, listen, there's nothing wrong with being multi-talented. I say, kudos to you. If you can do your day job and you can decorate a home like nobody's business, that's amazing. If you can do your day job and you can turn out amazing wedding cakes, beautifully decorated, fantastic. If you can, do your day job and be a pro at organization, that's amazing. And I'm not saying that you can't make a little money at it, but do you have to go 100% at both things? Can you go 100% at the main thing and then maybe go 40% at the second thing, right? I hear Nicole O'Simon, she would say, let the main thing be the main thing. So you have to decide in your life, what's going to be the main thing? Because everything cannot be the main thing, or else you yourself are going to get left behind. Your body's going to suffer for it. Your mind is going to suffer for it. Your relationships are going to suffer for it. Your people are going to be like, I can never hear from so-and-so. I can understand if you have a program that you're trying to deliver, if you have a project that you're trying to push through, if you have a launch that you're trying to push through, that's fine. It's fine if you can say to your friends, listen, I'm going to lie low for 4 weeks because I have this thing that I have to do. I have this project. I have this thing for my work that I have to push through. That's fine. But if you're lying low for the whole year or your whole life because you have to hustle, there's something wrong with that. You are missing out. Your friends are missing out. You're missing out on relationships. You're missing out on community. You're missing out on people. And we all need people, right? You can't allow your work to take charge of your whole life. And, in the past little while, I've become an entrepreneur, and I understand when you are the receptionist, you're the admin assistant, you are the CEO, you are the janitor, you are the financial expert. When you have to do all those things, it takes a lot out of you. But you have to find time to take breaks. You have to find time to cut it off. You have got to say, after 8 o'clock, I'm not taking any more clients. You need to say, I'm getting in bed tonight by 11 o'clock. I'm not staying up until 2 o'clock every single night. It's one thing, guys, like I said, if you have to push through a project. It's one thing if you have a deadline and you stay up late 2 nights in a row, whatever. But you can't be pulling 2 o'clock mornings every night and then expect to jump up at 7 o'clock like clockwork and do the next day. Your body is going to fall apart. Boundaries. Thanks, Trudy. Exactly. Where are the boundaries, right? Are you taking care of your body? Are you getting exercise? Are you getting sleep? Are you eating properly? Are you connecting with friends? Hustle culture has become very, very popular. It was born out of necessity because we were marginalized economically and we had to hustle just to make ends meet. But now I'm noticing that people who don't really have to hustle, they're hustling because it's the new it thing. It's the new, if you hustle hard enough, you can have your office on the beach just like me. If you hustle hard enough, you can drive the latest, I don't know, Tesla, whatever it is. If you hustle hard enough, you can spend your weekends in Morocco. If you hustle hard enough, you can spend Christmases in the tropics. Listen, it's great to want to vacation it, but 24/7 life cycle, the 24/7 cycle of work is not sustainable, and you are going to crash and burn. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not sustainable. Our bodies were not meant for this. Our bodies were made for rest. Our brains need sleep in order to process the information that you've been feeding it throughout the day. If you're not getting enough sleep, you can't process the information, and you can't function, right? Nobody wants a life that they can't function in. I was saying to a friend of mine the other night that you want to live a life that you don't need to have to run away from, right? I'm going to say that again. You want to live a life that you won't need to run away from. Everybody needs vacation. Everybody needs time away from work. Yes, I'm all for that. But your day to day, that's what I'm talking about. Your day to day. Are you up at 5 o'clock and doing your side hustle for 4 hours before you start your day job? And then you finish your day job and you skip lunch because there was no time. You didn't take any breaks because there was no time. Your bladder is falling apart because you refuse to go to the bathroom because you don't have enough time. And then, you're working into the night at like 2 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning again. And then up before the sun. Listen, that's not going to work. I'm telling you all this because I care about you, because I see it every single day in my practice. People are coming to me because they are absolutely burnt out, because this is what is expected of them. I was at an organization a while back, and some of you have probably heard me talk about the fact that I had applied for a managerial position that a colleague of mine got. They chose my colleague rather than me. Hey, Brenda. We're just talking about hustle culture tonight. So they chose my colleague rather than me. And at first I was a little bit salty, but then after a while I thought, I'm not even going to be here for that long, so it's fine. But a few months after, I ran into that colleague and we were talking about something, and he said, I couldn't even, I can't remember what we were talking about, something about in the night. And he said, man, it was 10:30 and I was still working. And I was like, what? Our job is 9 to 5. How come you're still working at 10:30? And it became apparent that as a manager, he was expected to burn the midnight oil because his boss was burning the midnight oil and expected it of the other managers. And I walked away from that conversation going, Roxanne, you dodged a bullet. Right? Sophia, I'm not sure if you're still on here. I know that you are in leadership. Maybe even tell us, is that expected of you in your workspace? I know sometimes the higher up the ranks you go, the more you are expected to work harder, to stay up longer, to work into the wee hours of the night working on that report or that project or that thing. Maybe you don't even have a big thing to work on. They just expect it. Is that what they expect of you at work? Is that what you expect of yourself? Arianna Huffington, the creator of the Huffington Post, she has since stepped away from the Huffington Post, and she's running an organization now called Thrive, and is acknowledge and support the idea that we need rest. And one of the things that she said was that she was big on hustle culture when she was at Huffington Post, and she was working really hard. She worked her way to the top. She worked really, really hard. Huffington Post became this huge thing. And she said one day she was at her desk and she was so sleep deprived that she, if I'm not mistaken, she fell asleep at her desk, knocked her head on the desk so hard that I think she broke her cheekbone, right? Because she wasn't sleeping, because she was working too hard. Guys, get some rest. The world is going to survive if you don't push. If you are in a position, if you're in a job that requires you to be on 24/7, you have to ask yourself, is this what I want for my life? Is this what I want for myself long term? It's one thing if your plan is to work at this position for about 3 months and then jump on to the next thing, or work on this project really hard, give it all you've got for 4 weeks, and then step back a little bit and take a breather and go back to regular kind of hours. But if your job requires you to be on 24/7 every single day, okay, so Trudy has asked a question. How does lack of sleep correlate to anxiety? As a matter of fact, it's a bit of a cycle. So when come in and they say that they are anxious or they have a lot of anxious symptoms, I ask them, what is their sleep pattern like? What is your sleep hygiene? What is that like? And many of my anxious clients will tell me, I either have trouble falling asleep, or I have trouble staying asleep, or I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then I can't go back to bed and I'm up for the day, right? They have difficulty going from sleeping from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. straight, right? And that's the case for a lot of people who have mental health issues. It's shown in your sleep. But also, if you are, let's say you weren't anxious and you are not getting enough sleep, your brain cannot process all the things that you've been feeding it throughout the day. And when you have to function the next day, it's like your brain is functioning on empty. And very much like when you're anxious, when we're anxious, we take these very shallow breaths and we breathe up here in our chest. When we can't breathe properly, it feeds the anxiety. You feel kind of lightheaded and you feel like you're not in control. You think that people are looking at you. You feel like you might pass out, all those things. Well, when you're not getting enough sleep, your brain can't function properly. You're not thinking clearly. You make quick decisions, sometimes without thinking them through. Our minds can get a little bit foggy, and the anxiety loops in that way. Truly, let me know if that connects with you, or if that's how you or your own clients experience sleeplessness or anxiety. It can be a big struggle. So what I would say is, we live in a society that idolizes the hustle. And there is definitely something to say for making money. For many people who don't have to hustle, their families have been here for generations, right? And when their original people came here to Canada, they may have hustled for a little bit, then they made some money, and then they could lean back. And then the generations that followed benefited from their hard work. What's happening now is that the hustle culture has become this new phenomenon, and everybody wants to hustle. I don't know why people want to live like this, but somehow they do. It's seen as the key to productivity. The other thing is that in our culture, we idolize productivity. So if we're not doing something, it's as though we're lazy, and if we're not making the money, if we're not making bank, if we're not busy. That's the other thing. We idolize this idea of being busy. How are you? Busy. Just busy. I didn't get any. And this idea of, whoa, you must be making all kinds of, right? Yes, it makes it cool to hustle. And people buy into that. right? People get into the idea 24-hour hustle is really, really cool. Truth of the matter is you're driving yourself into the ground. You're not eating, you're not sleeping. You're being riddled with anxiety, and you are developing things like hypertension, um, diabetes. Like, there's a lot of medical things that go on as a result of not slowing down. But I digress, right? So a lot of people who don't have to hustle, their forefathers before them had to hustle, and they're benefiting from the financial gain that the family has sent down to each subsequent generation. For some of us, especially for Black people in North America, we have, in Canada at least, we have not had the luxury of 6, 7, and 8 generations. Most of us, most of us do not have the luxury of having 6, 7, 8 generations of descendants here in Canada. And so we have had to hustle quite a bit in the 1, 2, or 3 generations that we've been here. And people are all about building legacy for the people who are coming after them. That's fine. Hey, Natasha, come on through. It's fine to feel like you want to create something for the other people who are coming. But here's the other thing that you need to create. You need to create for them the reality that you work hard, but you play hard. You work hard, but then you rest. You work hard, but then you take a break, right? Working around the clock isn't good for them. Them watching you work around the clock isn't good for them. So I want you to think about why you are hustling when you find yourself hustling. Is it because it's cool? Right? Even as some of you may or may not know, Emily Mills of Hustles, the other day she put up a post, right? Hustling is great. It's also awesome to take a break. And she was talking about the importance of her just pulling back and taking some time with her family. She started that organization because she was realizing that a lot of Black women in the Toronto area were always hustling. And so she created a network for us to connect with each other, for us to support each other, and for us to kick back together as well, together. That's important. Finding your community, discussing the hustle and why you are doing it. I implore you to be a little bit introspective and ask yourself, why are we hustling so hard? And again, I want to say, I'm not knocking your ambition. I will never forget a number of years ago when I was working in organizations and I was kind of just out of school. And, I knew I wanted the next thing, that this where I wasn't where I wanted to stay. I knew I wanted the next thing. And I was talking, night, Natasha. I was talking to a supervisor about goals and dreams. And she was like, well, you have your degree, you have this job, why do you need more? And I was really at her. I was like, I am going to attain them. So I am not knocking your ambition and I'm not knocking your goals and dreams. But what I'm asking you to do is take a step back and look and think, how am I doing this life? Am I doing my body and my mind more harm than good? How much time am I resting? How much time am I using to connect with loved ones? How much time am I using to take care of my body? When was the last time I got some stretches in? When was the last time I got some exercise? When was the last time I laughed so hard until I almost peed my pants? You need to take a break, guys. Honestly. Hustle isn't going anywhere. From the looks of Instagram, hustle will always be here. And I want to encourage you not to be hustling so that you can because you're comparing yourself to the next person out there, because you're comparing yourself to the people who can go on 5 vacations a year, because you're comparing yourself to the people who have these amazing vehicles in their garage, right? It's not all glamorous, let me tell you. It can be very disheartening when things don't go your way in the world of corporate work and in the world of entrepreneurship. It can be really heartbreaking and harmful to you. And so I implore you, take your time, do your life one step at a time. I want you to take care of your body. You only have one. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Afterthought. I will see you next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, where we get into more mental health topics for your life. Talk soon. Ciao. Bye.